Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of The Law, a Christian Perspective. I'm so happy that you chose to spend this time with us. We're talking about family law and specifically paternity issues. When I say family law, it includes a whole lot of things more than divorce. Most people hear family law and they equate it with divorce. But there's other things. There's adoptions, which is great. It's helping people to adopt children. It's prenuptial and postnuptial agreements, which are agreements that you can make before your marriage or during your marriage in order to dispose of certain assets that will not be going into the divorce proceedings. Domestic violence problems are things that come up also that are categorized under family law. There's annulments. If you have not consummated the marriage, you can get it annulled under circumstances. Even name changes are part of the family law area. And what we're going to talk about today is paternity. In the divorce area, there's a whole lot that goes into family law. There's contested divorces and uncontested divorces. There's litigations. Sometimes you have to get to trial. There is collaborative law, which is not even going to court. And divorce includes things like parental responsibility, who is going to get the responsibility for different issues, such as what church they go to, child support, child visitation, how much time does the child spend with both parents, either parent, child relocation, if someone has to leave the state for whatever reasons, parenting coordination, parenting plans. It includes temporary relief in that times when you start a divorce proceeding, you have to get a temporary attorney's fees or temporary child support or even temporary spousal support. Equitable distribution, which is the division of all your assets, and attorney's fees and costs. So even within divorce, there's a lot of things that encompass that family law. Also, after the divorce, after the judgment, you have appeals, and you have modifications of that judgment, and you have enforcement actions to be able to enforce the judgment in the future. Family law involves the practice of dealing with all legal problems that may arise from a family relationship. 1 Timothy 5, verse 8. The Word of God says, "But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those in his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Wow, that's a pretty strong statement. We have a responsibility to provide for our household. Who are they in our household? Our wife and our children. And Paul in 1 Timothy 5:8 says that if we do not do that, we deny the faith and are worse than unbelievers. So we have to take seriously the responsibility of paternity, of being a parent, a unique set of rights and responsibility. Those include the right to make the decisions for your child as to where they're going to school, where they're going to live, plan of time sharing. Now the courts seem to be leaning 50-50 time sharing. The child support, how much is going to be paid in child support by the supporting parent that doesn't have the majority of the time sharing, and issues, like I said before, of relocation. Once paternity is established, the child obtains many legal rights beyond child support. The child can inherit from his or her father, is eligible for health insurance coverage under the father's group policy, is entitled to Social Security benefits if the father dies or becomes disabled, may be entitled to wrongful death benefit if the father dies as a result of someone else's negligence, and can obtain medical history information, to say nothing of the emotional benefits to both a father and the child may reap as a result of establishing paternity.
Paternity refers to the legal establishment of who is the father of the child. While the identity of a child's biological mother is usually by nature easily established, the father's identity may in some cases be uncertain, and paternity issues often arise in cases involving child support, but they can also be important in relation to adoptions, to inheritance, to custody and visitations, healthcare, and other issues that may arise involving the child.
What is an acknowledged father?
An acknowledged father is the biological father of the child that is born to an unmarried parent who admit that he is the father. And acknowledged fathers are obligated to pay child support because they have already established by their own accord that they are the father.
And what about presumed father? What does that mean?
A presumed father generally is the most contested category because there are 4 circumstances in which a man is presumed to be the father of the child. 1, when he was married to the mother when the child was either born or conceived. 2, he attempted to marry the mother when the child was either born or conceived. 3, he married the mother after the birth of the child and agreed to have his name put on the birth certificate, or agreed to support the child after the child was born. Or 4, he welcomed the child into his home after the child was born and openly holds the child as the child is his own.
And what is an unwed father?
An unwed father is a man who basically impregnates a woman but doesn't marry her. And historically, unwed fathers have enjoyed fewer rights with respect to their children. And if an unwed father wishes to retain rights with the minimum of court intervention, he should acknowledge his paternity and, if possible, come to an agreement with the mother confirming his status as the father. So if another man becomes a presumed father, retaining full rights for the unwed father, it becomes very difficult. And assuming that there is not another man who seeks to be named the child's father, then the unwed father can retain visitation rights and seek custody of that child.
Can you explain what a legitimization form is?
Basically, if you are not legitimized by marriage as a father of that child, you can have a paternity acknowledgement form, and through that form, you establish that you're the father of the child, and then you obtain the legal rights as if you had been married to the mother of the child and gotten those rights automatically.
How does a father establish the paternity of a child?
Well, an action to establish paternity is a civil proceeding. Most states require that paternity be established by a preponderance of the evidence, which means that it must be more likely than not that the man is actually the father of the child.
All right, so let's go through the statute. The statute dealing with determination of parentage is Chapter 742 of the Florida Statutes, and it says that any woman who is pregnant or has a child, that section is 742.011. Any woman that is pregnant or has a child, any man who has reason to believe that he is the father of a child, or any child may bring proceedings in circuit court to determine paternity of the child when paternity has not been established by law or otherwise. The venue that you have to bring this paternity action would be either where the mother lives, where the child lives, or where the father lives. And the hearing is going to be done in a private setting with as few people as possible. Usually it'll be the parties involved and their counsel and the judge, and he may allow other people to be there at his discretion. If you are a father paying child support because you've been found to be the father by one of these methods that we talked before, and someone adopts the child, then that would end your responsibility for child support. How do we establish paternity for children out of wedlock? One of the ways to do it, most of the time this is used, is what is called a DNA test. Camila, can you tell us a little bit about the DNA test?
Well, Carlos, the DNA test is generally done only when one party contests the paternity allegations, and the DNA testing can be done even before the child is born. And the basis for child support collection may require proof that the father is actually the child's father before he consents to payment of support.
What is the process to establish paternity?
Well, there's 2 types of proceedings. One is voluntarily and one is the formal.
Tell us about the voluntary paternity proceedings.
A father may be very willing to support a child, but simply wants to ensure that he is indeed the biological father. So he may want a judicial determination before he commits to making the child support payments or getting emotionally committed to the child. Other fathers believe that they have been unjustly denied knowledge of or access to the children that they might have fathered, And this may occur following a contentious parting of ways between the parties. Maybe they were girlfriend and boyfriend. They broke up. The girlfriend was pregnant and never told the father. He later finds out, so he can try to make sure that he wants to know if he's the father or not in order to be involved in this child.
If paternity is established by one of the methods that we discussed, the father is required to provide child support for the child. The father also gets visitation rights and can seek custody of the child. Once paternity is established, if the father refuses to pay child support or does not provide enough, he will be subject to enforcement measures. Those enforcement measures could include jail time. All states have child support and child welfare agencies which can track down deadbeat dads through a variety of methods, including Social Security numbers, employment records, DMV searches, etc. Courts can place a lien on property, garnish wages, and, as I said before, even imprison fathers who do not pay child support. You should explore all options through state and city agencies or by contacting an attorney in your state that can do this, as well as filing a motion in the court to compel the fathers to pay.
So what if I cannot afford to file a paternity suit?
Fees required to bring a paternity suit can be costly, although there is generally the paternity DNA test is borne half by the father and half by the mother. In almost all the states, there are mechanisms which allow paternity suits to be filed by the state at no cost to the mother seeking to establish paternity. State child support agencies will file the paternity suit on your behalf. Many of these agencies are funded by the Federal Temporary Aid to Needy Families Program, TANF. Find out more about TANF and the state agencies which administer the program at www.acf.hhs.gov/programs/OFA, or just TANF, and you'll eventually get there. My team are ready to serve you, your friends and family with all your legal needs. God bless.